Ash Calder writes in The Quiet Between Breaths, where cities fall and promises fade, where survival is counted in cans and scars and the weight of every choice made, feet moving through ash and broken glass, hearts beating time against the dead that never sleep. This is not glory or prayer or fire from above. This is hunger, fear, and will held tight in trembling hands, where trust is rationed, mercy is measured, and tomorrow is earned not given, a rhythm of footsteps, a rhyme of resolve, live, endure. Adapt, repeat, until the world ends or the living decide who they become. About the author. Ash Calder. By Jesse Karnell Mayfield, Jr. Ash Calder is a pen name dedicated exclusively to zombie survival and apocalyptic fiction. This body of work focuses on human endurance under collapse, moral decision-making when systems fail, and the quiet, often uncomfortable cost of staying alive in worlds that no longer offer easy answers. Ash Calder's stories avoid spectacle for its own sake. Violence is treated as consequence rather than reward, survival is burden rather than triumph. The undead are not symbols of divine judgment or mythic evil, but the result of a broken world that no longer functions as intended. What matters most is not how the world ended, but how people behave after it does. This pen name exists intentionally apart from my other works to preserve clarity for readers and to respect audience expectations. Ash Calder narratives are secular in tone, grounded in realism, and centered on human choice rather than spiritual allegory. These stories are not about salvation. They are about continuation, the thin line between pragmatism and cruelty, and what remains of a person when civilization no longer shields them from consequence. Ash Calder writes for readers who value restraint, tension, and authenticity in survival fiction, and who understand that in the end, the most dangerous thing is not the dead, but what the living decide to become. Title: The Quiet After the Sirens. Prologue. Origin. The first sign was not the dead walking, it was the way the city went quiet. Sirens had screamed for 3 straight days, ambulances, police, fire, then one by one they stopped, not because the danger had passed, but because there was no one left to answer them. Power flickered, came back, flickered again, then settled into a low unreliable hum that made every light feel borrowed. Phones still worked for a while, long enough for people to leave messages they would never hear replayed. No one knew what caused it, not really. The news used careful words: outbreak, neurological event, mass psychosis. Hospitals overflowed, then locked their doors. Patients bit nurses, nurses locked patients in rooms, doctors ran out of hallways they had walked for decades. The dead did not rise all at once, most of them were never declared dead in the first place. They stopped responding, stopped speaking, stopped recognizing the faces they loved, then they became hungry in a way food could not solve. Those who survived the first week learned quickly that the world had not ended, it had narrowed. Streets became traps, buildings became decisions, people became risks. Survival was not heroic, it was quiet, heavy, and full of choices that stayed with you. This was not a story about saving the world. It was about living in what remained of it. Chapter 1. Day 8. Evan Hale counted his supplies every morning, not because he forgot what he had, but because the ritual kept his hands steady. 2 bottles of water, 1 cracked but clean, 3 cans of beans, 1 can of peaches he was saving for a reason he had not yet named, a half box of matches, a crowbar, a kitchen knife that was never meant for what it had already done. The apartment smelled wrong, not rot exactly, just stillness. He had sealed the windows with plastic and tape, learned the hard way that silence was safer than fresh air. Outside, something scraped along the pavement, slow, patient, like it had nowhere else to be. He did not look. Looking made it real, and real things demanded action. At noon he moved, slipping down the stairwell, counting steps, listening between breaths. The dead were predictable when alone, dangerous when crowded, and catastrophic when someone panicked. Evan had survived by not panicking, even when his neighbor screamed through the door on the second night, even when the screaming stopped and the knocking continued for hours after. At the lobby door he paused, weighing hunger against risk. He chose hunger, again. Survival was a series of small refusals. Chapter 2. The Living. He met Mara on day 11, not because he was looking for company, but because she had already claimed the grocery store he needed. She held a tire iron like she knew how to use it, her stance wrong but determined, her eyes sharper than her hands. They did not lower their weapons. They talked instead. She had lost her brother trying to help strangers, said it flatly, without drama. Evan told her he lived alone, which was mostly true. Trust came later, in pieces, traded for canned food and shared watch shifts. Together they learned that survival changed faster with someone else involved, plans grew complicated, mistakes multiplied, but so did reasons to keep going. They did not talk about the future. The future was too large. They talked about tomorrow morning, then tomorrow night. It was enough. Chapter 3. Cost. The first time Evan had to choose between running and helping, he ran. The second time, he hesitated, and hesitation cost him blood, not fatal, but permanent in the way all lessons were now permanent. Mara dragged him into a hardware store, locked the door, pressed cloth to his arm, and did not scold him. Scolding belonged to the old world. In this one, pain was explanation enough. Later, when the dead pressed against the glass, hands smearing the windows with memoryless insistence, Evan realized survival was not about staying human in some abstract sense. It was about deciding which parts of yourself you could afford to keep. Outside, the world waited, patient and broken. Inside, they waited with it.